welcome back to my channel. My name is Donovan if it's your first time here. Hey, I'm super excited to be sharing with you my updated highlight and contour routine. I honestly don't know when the last time I actually did a highlight and contour routine on my channel was, so I'm super excited to be doing this today. I'm not going to ramble on too much because I do have a lot of info to share with you guys, but before we get into today's video, definitely make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and thumbs up this video if you love makeup videos in general. And also check out my Instagram. I post a ton more over there, so if you want to see more of me, definitely make sure to check it out. I'll leave everything linked down below. And also, I'm on the hunt for the perfect under eye baking setting powder, so if you guys have a holy grail that you can't live without, please let me know in the comments down below because I'm really dying to try some new setting powders for the under eyes. It's probably one of my favorite steps, so definitely let me know in the comments down below. And without rambling on any further, let's get into today's video. Alright guys, so my skin is freshly prepped and exfoliated. I have not moisturized yet, so my skin is pretty dry. I am using a lot of retinols and acids right now. So I do want to share with you something that I've really been loving, and that's been the Paula's Choice 2% BHA liquid exfoliant. I've really been loving this, and if you follow me on Instagram, you already know that. But this product, I feel like, has actually changed my skin and actually has really decreased the breakouts that I get. And as you can see, I'm still breaking out, but it's just not as bad, and my skin texture has improved a bunch. So I actually like putting it on my hand and then using it as more of like a T-zone treatment. And I find that when I use it this way, I get a really nice result, and it really preps my skin for makeup, and I'm not wasting the product in a cotton pad. And this product's nice because it's actually really hydrating, but at the same time it's exfoliating, and it helps to tone down like any pores or like clogged pores or acne. And I can still use this for my Retin-A, and I feel like it actually boosts the results of my Retin-A in a weird way. So I've really been loving this, and if you guys have not tried this, even if you're sensitive, I really love this. So for moisturizer, as you can see, I've definitely been loving my Clinique one. This one is the Dramatically Different Moisturizing Plus Lotion, and I feel like I've definitely seen a difference with using this underneath my makeup, especially in flakiness. If you use any retinols or anything exfoliating and you get flakiness, I really love this moisturizer because I can layer it over and over again to get an amazing glow, but at the same time it tones down any dryness or surface dullness that shows up when you put makeup on top, so I really like it. So as you can see, those two products together left our skin with an amazing glow. So I usually let these set in for a couple minutes just because if I go into the primer too fast, it can tend to kind of mess it up a little bit. So I give these products a couple seconds to set in, then I go into my primer. The primer I've really been loving has been the new Laura Mercier Pure Canvas Blurring Primer. Now this is blurring, but it's also silicone free, and I feel like I don't notice as much blurring as I do mattifying, and it's very blurring in a different way. It's not like super thick and heavy, it's very thin, but it sets down very fast to almost a powdery finish. So I definitely recommend applying this with a brush because I have messed up my makeup with using this before, just because it does set down so fast. But this is so amazing for my T-zone because even though I'm deeply nourishing and hydrating my skin, I do get oily in my T-zone, so I do need something to always control it. So personally, I usually do my brows and my eyes first, but since we're going in depth with contour and highlight today, I thought we could do foundation first. And today I'm going in with my Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue foundation. I'm using the shade 120 Light Medium. I do have more of a tan going on my neck right now, and I feel like I'm always just making shades work. I don't know about you guys, but I'm never like super anal about my shade. I just feel like I kind of make it work and make it happen. So yeah, I'm using this foundation. I really like the formula. It's more of a satin finish and it's a medium to buildable coverage. And I'm just gonna apply it with the foundation brush first. And I know that looks like a lot of product at first, but the whole point of using a brush is that I put a little bit of product on the brush to thin it out all over my face and get it in a really thin layer and spread it out. I didn't dip back in, I didn't add any more. And then I go in with my sponge. This is the Stoned Cashew sponge. I love how the sponge looks, it's so cute to me, but it's also big. I have a very large man face and a lot of room and base to cover, so I feel like this gets the job done really fast. So now that I have that all spread out, I'm just gonna blend it in with my sponge. So as you can see, that gave us great coverage, but it's still more of a skin-like finish in a way. And it's also kind of toning down the foundation of my skin to kind of match with my neck, which as you can see, I have a lot more redness and pinkness here, and then my neck's a little bit more yellowy. So this kind of brings the tone together in a way. So for cream contour, one of my favorite products ever is the Too Faced Born This Way Concealer. This product is actually marketed for contouring, highlighting, and coverage, I believe. And I really like this for contour because it gives me longevity, but I don't feel like it sets down so fast that I can't blend it out, and it's not gonna add a bunch of heaviness to my foundation. So I really like to sculpt with this. And the way I do it is I add it on directly. And when you're doing your cheekbones, I always like to go a little bit higher than you would think, just because when you blend it out, we usually tend to go a little bit lower. So I always like to go a little bit higher and then always blend upwards because you want to lift. And then I always go around the hairline. So for my personal face shape, I like to add a little bit of contour around the forehead to bring it in, and then I like to add it in the cheekbones to bring kind of like a bit of sculpting. And for me, since I have a lot of space from where like my outer part of my eye is to where my hairline is, I like to add a little bit of bronzer in there because it just almost adds like a nice halo around the face of warmth and sculpting, and it almost looks incomplete when I don't connect everything. I also add a little bit right here to the sides of the chin because I like my chin to be a little bit more in and sculpted and like my face to look longer. So I like to add a little bit right there and blend it out, but you don't want to add too much to where it's obvious. You just want to add for a little bit of an accent, if you will. And if you ever feel like you're having a hard time blending it in, just take the same sponge that you were using for your foundation, and it really helps to kind of dilute the product and blend it in and really melt it in. Now with your hairline, you always want to make sure that you're getting all the way back into the hairline. But you see the sculpt and color this gives? It just makes the biggest difference. Okay, so apparently I wasn't recording, but I just took a little bit of that same concealer, and all I'm doing is I'm taking it on this tiny brush, and I'm taking it from the beginning of my eyebrow and taking it right alongside the contour of my nose. And I'm using a really thin amount of product to do this because you don't want to use too much. And I'm just kind of bringing it down. And I'm just taking this Morphe JH08 brush, and I'm just gonna kind of feather it up and then down. So lately, I've never been a corrector person on myself personally. I just feel like I've never really felt the need. I use it on clients all the time, but I just never feel like I've really used color correctors in my personal routine. So I've been trying some because my under eyes have been a little bit much lately, and I wanted to try this Makeup Forever Ultra HD in shade 42. It's a concealer. I'm just gonna put a little bit before my concealer today. Just has more of a peachy undertone to it. I actually really like what that did for my under eyes. Again, that was shade 42. I really like that. I feel like even by itself it looks good. For concealer today, I'm taking my Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue concealer as well. I've really been loving this. I would say this is probably the most long wearing and actually self-setting concealers that I've ever tried. It's really great, but if you have dry under eyes, definitely make sure that you use an eye cream, and also make sure that you blend this out pretty fast, just because in my personal experience it does dry down really fast. Today I'm using the shade 15 Light Medium. So now that I have that concealer placed, I'm going in with my beauty blender, and I'm just pressing this down. And I start almost like at the edges that are blending in with the foundation, and then I go under the eyes. Okay, so as you can see, that's a very bright under eye. So I always go back in with the brush or sponge that I used for my cream bronzer slash contour, and I kind of pat over the edges just to ground it a little. So now that I have both of my under eyes nice and bright, I like to go into the center of the face a little bit. So I go right between the brows, kind of up. I don't make a big spotlight on my forehead because we don't need any more spotlights, we don't need any more attention. This is more so just to kind of even everything out, make it an even playing field, that's all. Okay, so now that I have the center of my face highlighted a little bit more, I'm just gonna blend in with my sponge really lightly. And I always like to elongate the chin a little bit more, which actually helps with those contours that we made earlier. So I put a little bit right at the tip of my chin, and I literally just press this in the placement that I made. I've really been loving these Makeup Forever Skin Blurring Powder Foundations, and I have them in a palette just because I love them so much. And I have another palette for my kit for my freelance as well. I love these, they're so amazing. I'm going to be using this shade right here, and I will leave it in the description box down below what shade it is. And I'm using this on my Morphe JH07 brush, which I really love. And I'm just going to make sure there's no creasing. And I'm just going to set. And I love this because not only does it smooth and brighten, it adds more coverage, but it also really helps to keep the under eyes nice and bright. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like under eyes don't always stay bright, or you almost get like a ring of darkness sometimes. And this really helps to give you a really smooth under eye look. And it really keeps that integrity of the brightness that we're trying to make all day long, and doesn't get dull, you don't get any darkness showing through, so I really love this step. So I've been using this mixture. It's a mixture of Ben Nye Cameo Powder and Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder. I don't know why, but I haven't found my perfect powder for my under eyes yet, so I usually tend to mix things that I like certain aspects of, and then mix them together into like an old Dermablend thing. I'm really wanting to try the Huda Beauty ones, so I'm going to try those in the future, but let me know what you guys like for baking down below. I just feel like a lot of powders look really crepey, or they just add a bunch of weirdness, or I get like a ring right here of darkness that they add. So I've really been liking this combo, and I'm taking it on my Dose of Color sponge, and I start at the sides of my nose. Okay, so I really love my Laura Mercier powder for setting my whole face if I want a really matte look. But I really do love my Too Faced Born This Way ethereal setting powder and translucent. And the reason I love this is because no matter what, it does set my face, but once I add my setting spray back in, it gives it a very skin-like finish. So I don't always like it for baking, but for my entire face, I really do love the way it sets down. I'm just taking it on a Laura Mercier powder puff and just pressing it into my skin. I've literally been using this non-stop for I don't even know how long, probably since I've gotten it. And this is the Cheek Leaders Bronze Squad palette from Benefit. And I love this Hoola Caramel shade right here. And I'm taking that on my Tom Ford bronzer brush. And this is very pigmented, but it's matte. And I feel like you need a good matte bronzer in your collection, because sometimes I love a shiny bronzer, but for like photos and special occasions, sometimes they can do something weird, especially with flash. So I always like to have a really good matte bronzer in my arsenal, even if you like a very glowy look, just because you always want to add a glow exactly where you want it, because sometimes you can want to add a glow everywhere, but it doesn't always look the best. So it's always about adding controlled glow for the best outcome. So one step that I always was scared of was kind of baking underneath my bronzer contour. You can go in with an actual contour, but I don't usually, because I feel like this is enough for me. But I always like to go back in and clean this up, because especially in photos and video, you can really see the difference in how the makeup kind of looks when you're facing forward. And I do get a lot of questions about how I do this step without making it look super ashy. I don't leave this on, I literally put it on and I blend it right away. And the whole point of this too is you always want to make sure you're doing this after your face is already set. If I do this and my face is not set, it'll cling and it'll look like I have a white stripe. This way it just gives me a nice cleanup and it looks nice and sculpted. But if I was to do it on a really wet foundation, don't do that, because then it kind of sets down and you'll get a white stripe that you can't blend away. So always make sure to set and then do that powder step on top. So this is the MAC Glow Play Blush in the shade So Natural. I think MAC killed it with these. I really hope these are not limited edition, because these are so beautiful and they apply so amazingly. I was kind of scared that I had to apply them with the fingers or a sponge, but they apply beautifully with a brush. Today I'm using my Morphe JH06 brush, which I really love for blush. And I just wiggle it in there and get it nice and loaded up with blush. And with blush, I like to take it a lot higher on the cheekbone and farther back. And these have a little bit of a glow to them too. And then the excess I just bring forward. If you've been following me on Instagram, you know I haven't been really wearing that much highlighter, but if I do, it's Benefit Cookie, obviously, because it has a hole in it. And I actually have a single as well that I've been using, and I don't know why I'm using them both, but I am. And I really like this highlighter. I feel like it's beautiful, very versatile. You can make it look like skin, or like wet skin, or like crazy crunchy metallic highlights. So you can get anything you want with it, and it's a beautiful eyeshadow as well. I personally have been liking just a tiny bit of highlighter, and I like it when I smile. and I just really buff it on the cheeks, like actually like buff it in. And then I go back in with my bronzer brush and kind of blend it in. And even that is a lot more highlight than I've been wearing, like at all. But for the sake of the video, to add highlight, there you go. I always go on my Cupid's Bow with highlighter because I feel like my lip looks dry without it in a weird way. And then I go on the tip of the chin. If you have a sweaty chin, or if you don't like the look of a highlighted chin, don't do it. Just because it can tend to look kind of like sweaty, or if you actually sweat from there, don't do that. Same with your lip. But I like it because it, again, elongates the face, and I feel like it makes my skin look a little bit more natural. And I just like to go right here a little bit. But as you can see, my face has a little bit of a shine. It's from that Too Faced powder that I use with the puff. Again, like I said, it just definitely sets your face in, but you have more of a skin-like glow, which I really like. Again, sometimes it can be too much for people, but I really do like it. And to set in my skin, I'm using my Urban Decay All Nighter Pollution Protection Setting Spray. Okay, so this is the skin once I did the setting spray. I really like how it looks. Again, that Too Faced powder does give a little bit more of a skin-like glow to it, which I feel is a lot more realistic, especially when you're in person. I feel like it looks exactly like skin, which is insane to me. But on camera, it's gonna look a little bit more glowy with light reflecting from it. But overall, I'm really obsessed with how the skin looks. I would probably wear a lot less highlighter. I know that's probably a shock to some people, but I feel like my skin looks better, more satin matte than highlighted. But I do really love how this looks, so I'm gonna finish off the rest of my face. I'm probably gonna do it for an Instagram video, so definitely make sure you're following me on Instagram, and if you aren't already, I will leave it right here as well as down in the description box below, and I will be right back to finish off my thought. Alright guys, so this is the finished look. I really like this whole routine. It usually goes by a lot faster when I'm not explaining everything, but overall I like how this photographs, I like how it looks in person, and I really add and take away from it, but it's kind of like my baseline routine. So I really hope you guys like. If you did like this, definitely make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and please let me know in the comments down below what you'd love to see from me in the future. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys in my next video.